Hey there, everyone. Oh, he held that through those whole titles. That's why his guns are so big.
I mean, he's done that since the pre-show. He's been doing that for like the last hour while we were warming up. It was crazy.
I've been holding it since LA when I tried to get on the show last week and couldn't. I've just been holding it. I've been ready.
Men in Black were stopping that from happening, man. That was crazy. So.
Squatch juice power.
Yeah, that was wild.
Squatch juice power. There it is.
No, you want a crazy workout, though. Total sidebar. Just hold a flex. Don't even lift weights. Don't touch anything, and you will grow exponentially. Right. That's my advice today. I'm telling you, it's harder than it looks.
Well, that was also
on there, by the way.
That was also a medieval form of torture, was hold a rock in a flex for a day, and let's see if you can, keep your arm moving the next day.
Nope.
Cans of soup.
Nope.
Cans of soup.
Yeah, boys. So, hey, it's good to see you, boys.
Welcome to Parageeks. we should
missing somebody.
To the audience instead of each other.
We're missing somebody. That's throwing it off.
Who is it though? I don't remember.
This feels better.
It's cleaner. It's more fun.
It feels more balanced. Yeah.
Less beardy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only one beard.
And now Michael can actually talk.
Full and a half. Whatever.
Where is John Boy?
John is in Florida with technical difficulties. Please stand by. He's down there with his RV that he also uses for investigations, but there was an issue with it. And the repair people had to come out, and so they had to take his equipment offline because power issues. And so therefore, John is not here, unless the part of John is today being played by Michael.
So there it is.
So the rumors that a Sasquatch dragged him into the green swamp is completely unfounded. Okay.
Yeah.
I am absolutely not going. I'm just going to give the official, mass media version of what happened to him. Right. But you guys can actually talk about the truth.
Okay. Just because I saw that on TMZ, and that sometimes that stuff's not real, but sometimes they get it right. So.
Yeah. Hey,
they were talking about the portal. The green light from the portal was real.
Oh, okay.
Well, there we go. All right. Speaking of portals, do we want to start with portals? Cage, can you start there? Let's do that because, Michael, why don't you go ahead and give me what you were talking about, because that was absolutely incredible.
We were discussing, there is a plant up in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. It was a radioactive plant back after World War II. And initially, everybody just thought that it was a radioactive research plant. And recently, rumors have been coming out from security guards and some others that there has been portal activity, that they're opening portals actively. And I did a little legwork into Oak Ridge and found that they were a subsidiary of CERN. So the question is, what are they doing in the Tennessee mountains? And are they actually opening portals? I do know the security guard report was the security guards are there not to keep people from getting into the plant, but to keep things from coming out. So
that's awesome.
A deep dive into that is needed.
That's the start of a Dinar Kuntz novel.
In that case,
isn't that Stephen King's The Mist? Yeah, it's
there you go.
Now, where is this one at?
This is in Tennessee.
Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Okay, because I know
now. I'm sorry.
Big hole near Black Mountain over near you, Anthony.
Oh yeah.
That was an old NSA facility that has been repurposed since the NSA bailed out of it, and it was being used. We don't know what, but there's government trucks just driving into the mountain there because it's called Big Hole because it's just a big hole. It has no official name, no nothing like that, and that's been very active over the last 3 months, where people have been bringing a lot of stuff into it. So, no idea. Just one of those that you mentioned that. I'm like, wait a minute, it's just kind of funny that I've been getting reports of that recently too.
Was that the mine
Well,
area
the official
around
line,
Black Mountain where they found rare earth minerals, materials, whatever?
It's not too
yeah,
far from that, but it's just called Big Hole. And if you look into it, you'll see it's not like on the maps. It's kind of like an Area 51 place where they don't block it off, but it's the satellite feed. Google Earth is black over it, stuff like that. But when it was abandoned for just that like 3 months between NSA and the government taking it over, people got some pictures. It's literally a hole in the mountain, just like a ramp going down, like something out of Grand Theft Auto or James Bond.
Let me sidebar. As we know in our space, that is the oldest place in our known world. I mean, we are living in the ancient part of our world. So what is under those mountains? We have more pyramids in North America than anywhere else. So what is it? And what are they digging to? Maybe that was already there. They're always saying it's fallen from the sky, and that's another whole show that we can get into where I defend that that's BS. Yeah. But until we get to that show, that area is an area of high strangeness and interest because the amount of cave systems running through there, just the Mammoth Cave system, as Anthony, you and I have talked about before, is exceptional. So I would love to know what was underneath there. And we need to get boots on the ground when those things pop open for the few days where you can go without getting shot. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm going to point out, okay, that you already brought up the fact that rare earth metals, okay, are found in this area. And honestly, if they've got a huge tunnel system already existing, then quite frankly, it would make a hell of a lot of sense to simply use that as the base for a mine for pulling out the rare earth metals. So, I mean, there could be a perfectly natural, and they're not going to tell anybody about it because that then becomes a high value target for some of those cells that we've heard about. You know, like skin cells. That's what I'm talking about. And, you know, so at that point, you want to keep that stuff secret. You don't want people to know what you're doing there. And if there's an easy access point to start pulling those out, our YouTube numbers just dropped because we got pulled.
Plus, if it runs underground for endless amounts of distance, whose land that is under that you would have to then pay for that, and they ain't gonna pay nobody.
No, and there is a reason when you buy a house in North Carolina, Tennessee, West Virginia, make sure you get the mineral rights because 9 times out of 10 you're just buying that deed. And who owns the mineral rights? We don't know. Oh, government.
Well, I know my property in North Carolina. The mineral rights include everything I need to make every freaking red clay flower pot I'd ever need. Because that's all I got here, buddy. I'm just sitting on red clay.
I'm sitting on sand.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm on geode. I'm on red clay and geode.
I'm on white marble.
Oh,
marble.
There you go.
We're the marble capital.
Wild?
Yeah,
nice.
all of the headstones that go to for the soldiers' death up in Arlington and everything comes from about 10 miles from where I'm sitting right now.
Nice.
Wow. So, no, I think, you know, the idea of them opening portals, of course, they officially deny it, you know, because it's just not true. And that's a fact.
But,
so,
you know, even Neil deGrasse Tyson will tell you that opening portals to another universe is probably going to be much easier than just flying to Alpha Centauri, because the physics are with CERN and stuff like that. We're learning that these things are much easier to access than trying to figure out faster than light travel. So,
well, I'm going to say this about that. In the mid 1980s, an engineer on loan to NASA and I were talking, and we'd known each other for a very, very long time, like since we were born. And so he was working for NASA at the time. And he said, watch carefully because something big is about to be announced. And I'm like, what? Give me an idea. And he goes, they found a way to move extremely large payloads into outer space using the space shuttle. I'm like, well, yeah, you open the doors, you put he goes, no. We're talking about being able to move something the size of a city.
Wow.
I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And he said, they have figured out how to make a warp bubble. This is back in the mid 80s. Okay. And so what they were working on was putting the warp bubble projector inside the shuttle. Use the cargo bay for the projector. and then project around whatever it is you want to move, and you take off. And because it's dropped out of, space, because it's in this bubble, it has no mass. So it doesn't affect your fuel consumption, nothing. It's just take off, and you take it with you. Turn off the bubble, and now it's in outer space. You can launch
It's a plasma bubble,
entire
right?
Yeah.
No,
Oh, warp. So it would warp
it was an
space,
electromagnetic
literally.
bubble.
Well,
Okay,
electromagnetic,
yeah,
but using ether, right,
yeah.
to create a plasma bubble that nothing is affected on the outside or the inside. Sorry, the outside move.
No,
Yeah?
plasma is very, very specific definition. I have friends who are rocket scientists, so I will not call it plasma. Okay, but
Okay.
it's just basically using magnetic fields to warp space. And I started thinking about it, and I said, wait a minute, there's a problem with this. Because if you run the equations out, if you make motion equal to 0 in an equation, then time becomes undefined. Without motion, we can't measure time. I mean, logically, you can see that, but I've also mathematically shown it. And so what happens is what's going on inside that bubble is one of two things. When you divide by 0, either the answer is 0 or the answer is infinity. My guess was rather than freezing time inside the bubble, it created infinite time inside the bubble. So whatever they put into it when they finally opened it, aged infinitely. So anything that could decompose, anything, it was just gone.
Dust.
And so the bubble ended up being a real problem. That's one potential. The other potential is, they worked and they were playing with them, and then they accidentally crashed one. And that is where Skinwalker Ranch came from.
So
Everything
very
on that
interesting.
mesa. Yeah.
No,
So
very
that's just
interesting.
fun
Early
stuff.
80s. Yeah, early 80s. What film came out where they did exactly that and went up into space inside the safety of a bubble? It is the second best kids movie after Goonies. I'm going to throw that to you. The Explorers. You just, thank you for putting that in my head. Now I'm
There
going
it
to look at
is.
that and go, electromagnetic bubble.
Yep. So when you're talking about opening portals and doing all these kinds of things, I have it that it's been going on here for 40 years now. Actually, yeah, we're on the 40th anniversary of when I
That's
was
why
told
Dolly
this
doesn't have braces in Moonraker anymore. So.
Exactly. We keep screwing with this stuff. Oh, Michael, what do you think? What do you think is going on there? Just have an opinion.
My opinion for CERN, I think they have, because I hear reports all over the world of anything that's tied to CERN where they are opening up these portals to wherever. I'm not going to say dimensions, other side universes, whatever. One of the reports that I got out of Oak Ridge stated that when they opened it, there was a sound that came out that scared the scientists to the point that they started running out of this facility. I don't know if it was some kind of demonic sound. I don't know if it was a dinosaur or what, but it terrified them. And that was the main reason they were putting on the newer security guards that were talking about this. So I think we've taken science to the nth degree where we're trying to chip away at the fabric of our universe to figure out exactly what's beyond. And sometimes when you do that, you open up a Pandora's box. And I think they're trying to open these portals or whatever you want to call them. That's my opinion. And it matters about as much as nothing.
So I want to read something that I just saw yesterday, which is relevant to this. And it goes above my pay grade, but it resonated with me. And maybe it just resonated because I knew I'd be talking with you, you smart asses. But so this guy goes, so anyway, I figured out the UFO thing. And anytime anyone says that, I'm like, all right, let me see. But he goes, the United States solved gravity. This is Ashton Forbes on Instagram. The United States solved
Mhm.
gravity decades ago. It's connected to electromagnetism via an extra dimensions, all with what you're talking. Tesla
Yep.
was right, but Einstein was right. Einstein was right too. There is an ether, and relativity allows for particle accelerators to produce real local gravity effects, like how we were afraid the LHC was going to make a black hole. This physics makes fusion reactors trivial. The orbs you're seeing flying around are dense plasma self-organized by its own electromagnetic fields, with fusion happening for energy production. They are also linear particle accelerators that build up huge amounts of energy and use the byproducts for thrust, like a mobile waterfall of plasma. This is the last page, and I'll drop it because it goes for 4. It's a hyper-efficient design that utilizes the properties of plasma sheaths for the next level aerial capabilities, such as 360-degree movement, which we see these things moving like all over the place. They make dense balls of energy soften space-time, make it easier to produce a bridge or tunnel instantly between 2 points. The geometric patterns, equilateral triangle specifically, has a purpose. You were just talking about the triangle of Ohio near Loveland. It's all triangles, right? At the center, there is a null zone where all the electromagnetic fields cancel out. That's the safe spot for your wormhole or warp drive. I don't know who figured out spinning them around to help soften space-time further or converging them to exponentially amplify energy, but bravo, you made a wormhole. Anyway, so it keeps going, but how interesting that there are no coincidences, right? Like that, for my level of intellect, I should have just glanced over that, but it hooked me and I saved it so that I could share it on the show with you, brilliant gentlemen. So, yeah, amazing.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I gotta look into that. So,
so you just referenced the triangle. That was actually the pre-show we were discussing it. So, hey guys, you just got a little preview of what Mark is about to talk about.
Okay.
Because
Jumping into
it's a
that?
little different,
All right.
but yeah, let's go, Mark.
Well, it's the anniversary. Actually, tomorrow is the anniversary of the Charles Mill Lake. Its sighting, which was a couple boys were out Charles Mill Lake, Ohio. This is around Canton area, I believe, and they saw something strange that came out of the water at them, and it looked like a reptilian figure on 2 legs, had no arms. It was described kind of like almost like a creature from the Black Lagoon type thing. This would have been right around that time, and it had that's Loveland down the street. But yeah, they drew a crude image of it that was very, very odd, kind of looked like a toad on 2 legs. Now that immediately brought people thinking about Loveland, which was the 1950s, which a traveling salesman, it's always a traveling salesman in these folklore tales, driving by, sees this creature standing on the side of the road that looks like a giant frog walking on 2 legs, leathery skin, big bulging eyes. And it crosses a guardrail down by the Little Miami River. So he goes after it to see what it does. It starts talking to 2 more. So there's 3 of them. Then he makes a noise. It turns and pulls out this magic wand that sparks. And that's when he bails. And it becomes folklore, becomes this folk tale. It's just forgotten about basically until the 1970s, when a cop driving along that same area sees something weird that he doesn't understand. It says it looks like a toad on 2 legs crawling over a guardrail. And he reports it. I saw it jump into the Little Miami River. Don't know anything about it. The next week, of course, everybody's like, oh, it's the Frogman. Frogman's back. So this becomes this huge story. The next week, his partner says, oh, I was driving that area and I shot a tailless iguana. I shot it with a shotgun because I didn't know what it was. And I showed it to my partner. He says, oh, yeah, that's what it was. So stop worrying about Frogmen. It was a goofy mistake. And he said that till 2016, when he was still saying, yeah, no, I did that because that's what we saw. We saw that, and I was tired of people saying it was a frogman. He's retired down in Florida, last I heard. I haven't heard if he's passed yet or not. I talked to him in 2016. And the guy who originally saw Shockey is long past. But So that's right down that same river. The Ohio River, the Little Miami River, Charles Mill Lake, they're all connected, same waterway. And that goes by Huntington, which has the Ohio River and the Big Sandy meet there. And that's all from that same feed off. And they have a thing called the Huntington Hobgoblins, which are very similar. Little creepy frog guys that come out of the water with webbed feet. And they were described as like Gollum, because they were described late 70s after the animated Hobbit movie had come out.
Yep.
So that's when they became popular. And all those right there, it's like, if you look at it, it is a triangle of these same type cryptids. And then if you go back, the Crosswick serpent is there. That's an 1880s story about a creature that looked kind of like a giant lizard insect that had horns. And it grabbed a child and ran up a tree, and the whole town tried to fight it. And then it finally went into a cave near the water, and they sealed the cave because they just didn't want to deal with it anymore. And then that all goes back to Meshapishu, which the Adena and Hopewell cultures worshipped, who was the underwater panther, this creature that looked like a giant lizard and had a spiky tail and webbed feet. And they knew it was a creature of the water. And that's what they made Alligator Mound, which they told the settlers, oh, it was this thing lives in the water and it eats people and it comes out, and they go, oh, it's an alligator. And the natives thought, oh, okay, that's your word for it. Okay, we'll use that. And that's, so then when they died out, the settlers would go on and they'd say, well, what's this effigy mound of? That's a strange creature. And oh, it's an alligator. That's what the natives told us. So that's why it became Alligator Mound. But that, of course, was probably Meshapishu or Meshapishu, depending on Ojibwa or whichever tribe, or Shawnee, whichever tribe is translating it.
It's a little far north for alligators.
Exactly. And that's, and that's why it's like they didn't know what an alligator was. I mean, they did trade with the people of Florida, and they got, because we got shark teeth up there, and they've got basalt rocks down at the Miami Mystery Circle, but that only come from Ohio. So they obviously had a trade route of some sort, but alligators probably not going all the way up there. But so these frog creatures are seen a lot. And then if you throw in the Carmel monster, which a Marine saw when he was coming out, and he said it was a giant two-legged creature that crossed his road in front of him. And he gave it very specific details that fit this exactly, except his was more of a asphalt gray skin, where these are more toad brown and green. So maybe an asphalt gray thing that gets in the water, gets some algae on it, might make it a little green and brown.
Could be seasonal too.
Exactly. Of course, everybody, the skeptics say, oh, it's storks, sandhill cranes, two-legged things crossing the road. This is a giant bird.
You got a narrow head.
Yeah,
come
I
on.
will say that I can't tell you, we used to have sandhill cranes in the backyard when we lived down there, and I'd look out the window and go, oh, wow, look at the giant toad.
Yeah, it's a giant frog. It's
all the time.
But also, doesn't it sound like grays?
Exactly. A little
That's
bit of grays.
what I was thinking of.
Yep. It's Hopkinsville. Hopkinsville is small, little, big-eyed things. It's Evansville as a green creature in the water that was the same day as Hopkinsville. Nobody talks about
change
that.
The lighting, change the environment they emerge from, and you've got the ant people. You've got the underground grays, but appearing
hobgoblins.
Yep.
Huntington hobgoblins, they were convinced were cave people, feral people. And
there you go.
But they live right next to the water. So
and maybe if you see that, like if you see Bigfoot, it's obviously a black bear. Well, maybe when you see something like this, it's obviously a sandhill crane. Like that's how they deal with it.
Or a tailless iguana.
A tailless iguana that somebody let loose.
As the owner of an iguana, how likely is it that somebody would mistake that?
Monitor.
Can you remove the tail, please?
But they do shed their tails. But if they get panicked, to dogs and cats and things like that, they'll shed their tails. Iguanas don't tend to grow them back like other animals, though, like other reptiles, or amphibians. But Yeah, no, I would never confuse Claudius for anything other than what the amazing Claudius is. Claudius the Wonder
I
Lizard
mean,
is
at
Claudius
best,
the
you
Wonder.
might think of it as a baby alligator.
Yeah, or scaly cat, or
Yeah.
a very slow velociraptor unless he's hungry, and he's a very fast
Yeah.
velociraptor.
Yeah. No, I think
it's just
wow.
It's so weird that all these things can Gage, can you just flip through those pictures real quick? If you could just show them just so we can see how similar these things are. That was my wife's illustration of Loveland there with the wand, because she did that for our upcoming book. There's the cops version. She's like the forensic artist of cryptids. So that's the more toad like the scaleless iguana, the tailless iguana version. Now this is Meshipishu, according to, or the crosswick serpent. Although some people said it had 6 legs, but it's the news of the day.
I can see why someone would think that was an alligator if it were down on all 4.
Yeah, that's actually kind of close to our lizard, but that's maybe the underwater panther. It looks very similar because it has the surly tail that that makes whirlpools.
Big pointy ears. Yeah.
There's the Huntington hobgoblins. Again, not too much of a stretch. The bug eyes, that was why I think it got affected by pop culture. But again, there's some similarities here on all of these. That's the Carmel creature that he drew, because he only saw it for a few seconds from his dashboard of his car. Now that kind of reminds me a little bit of Fresno Nightcrawlers, a little bit, just because that's just the dancing pants. But again,
I could actually hold on a second. I could give that to a sandhill crane.
Yeah, that I could see that.
The legs, yeah.
But again, all right, now let's go to the next one. There's that original drawing those kids did of the Charles Mill Lake monster. So,
wow.
All of those not too far off. The webbed feet, all that. The Carmel creature, he didn't see the feet, so he couldn't tell. But that was it's so funny that they're all right there. Within 100 miles. Every one of those is within 120 miles.
Scale? What size are we talking with these creatures?
Everything except the Carmel creature was between 4 and 5 feet. Huntington hobgoblins, they said anywhere from 2 to 5 feet. So some of them are short and tiny. Loveland was 3 to 4 feet. All the sightings, 3 to 4 feet.
Okay.
And so it's one of those, what a bunch of odd coincidences that they're all just right there, and not really much other places. Again, if you count Grays, Hopkinsville, similarities are there. And again, this is also a cave system, or Mammoth Cave, right underneath all of that. So
intriguing.
And it's that same Little Miami, Ohio River system. So that's my anniversary gift to you all, because it is the anniversary of that. So
fantastic. Now, I think there's so much eyewitness accounts. When there's that many and they corroborate, you get past the point of incredulity, when it's like, okay, something was there. Now, did early reports of a frogman influence people so that they would then see something out of the corner of their eyes, and they would imagine, oh, that's the frogman, and then their brain fills in the details, and suddenly you get those images? Oh yeah, this is what I saw. Well, you actually saw about 10% of that. Your brain filled in the other 90. And so, those are also very reasonable explanations for some of the things, which is why you really need anything that corroborates them. And are there any other, footprints? Are there any webbed footprints?
Yes. That's the thing. There are web footprints from the Charles Mill Lake monster. They said it looked like the police, when they investigated, said it looked like prints someone who had been scuba diving would have left. And
so flippers.
Hobgoblins, there was a fire in the early 80s at a fire at a factory right on the Kanawha River, and when it burned down, they saw these little things running away from the fire, like because it had been an abandoned factory for years. And there are tunnels under Huntington that were there for years, kind of like the tunnels in Ybor that were used. So they thought maybe they were running into those. And again, web footprints. So from that. Now, the other thing about Huntington, there was talk about the cave connection. There's Olympia, Kentucky. There was the Olympia mine, the Rose Run mine. And at one point, we know about this because there was a miner who sent letters back to his granny. And he said, hey, Granny, I'm looking forward to the family reunion in a couple of weeks, blah, 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 blah. It was just this normal letter. And then about halfway down, he says, funny thing happened at the mine. We were blasting into a new vein for iron, and we blew open the wall, and there were these creatures eating a bear. And they were up on top of it, long stringy hair, grayish brown skin, hunched over and digging into the bear with their bare hands. The miners, we all got scared. We all ran because they didn't seem at all bothered by the explosion. We aren't going to work until we hear otherwise. And then we don't know what. And he sent, then looking forward to the reunion. Love, Bob. Whatever. He sent it off. We don't know what she sent back, but she kept all the letters that he had ever sent. That's how we knew this. His family had every letter she'd ever received. And then the next letter says, hey, the miner guys, the owners of the mine hired hunters to kill the bears and the monsters. And now we're back in the mine. I did some digging. Sure enough, Lexington newspaper that week, right after his first letter would have been sent, the owners of the Rose Run mine ran an ad looking for gunmen to go hunt bears in their mine. So that, I think, corroborates that a little.
I love corroboration, cross-referencing. That's fantastic. And, it's sure the bears were definitely real. But then it's a question of, what else is in there? And, they're finding new life forms every day at the bottom of the ocean, in the bottom of caves, and there's all kinds of things. And sure, it's one thing to find, a microbe or a lichen or, a new kind of mushroom.
The new spider they found at Raccoon Caverns in Chattanooga. They found a new spider just a few years ago.
And like there's like 14 feet long, right?
Where would small, I'm going to call them hobbit-like creatures, go to stay away from the infection? Master breeders, they're going to go underground.
Yeah.
And that's what we found in New Zealand, Australia. Down the islands down there, of course, that's where we have the hobbit creatures. Okay, that are now part of the human family history. 3 feet tall and just as intelligent as a 5 foot primate, and doing just fine living down there.
The Cherokee talk about the moon-eyed people.
Your audio's gone again.
We lost you.
It's on,
and why now? Cheers.
There you go. You're back.
And why every reservation that we went to while filming, they said, yeah, of course we have UFO activity. Of course we have spirits on the land, and we even have Bigfoot. But why aren't you guys interested in the little people that live under the pond? And I mean, look at me, every time, not just here and there. They were like, why aren't you interested in them? And I'm like, well, because we're Americans. Those are little. We need it big and exploding for us to pay attention.
We need monsters. Yeah, the moon-eyed people, the Cherokee little people, two different things. Yep. Moon-eyed people, they went to war with and chased them into the earth because they were, evil, and according to them. And that's Fort Mountain, right near where John is, and where I think you are, Mike.
There's that 30 miles
wall
from here.
Yeah, who built the 2 foot wall? Who would hide behind a 2 foot wall? well, little people would hide behind a 2-foot wall. So,
Yep.
so there we go. And everyone talks about the little people that live in the mountains. They're generally benevolent. They'll take care of you unless you piss them off. If you mess with them, they will mess with you. And again, that goes back to the folklore of Ireland and Scotland with the red caps and the fae and all that. They all live in the mountains. They live in the earth.
And they come and fix your shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
If you leave them,
it's all
but you have to
connected,
leave them milk
baby.
and cookies.
It's all connected, and that's what people don't realize. And again, like you said, the Cherokee, the Navajo, I've been working a lot with the Shawnee on our new book, and they're like, the spirit world and the natural world, there's not two different worlds. It's the world, and that's just how it is. And the ghosts. Why are you guys afraid of ghosts? They're our ancestors. They're here to talk with us. They just live with us. Some of them were assholes. That's just how it works. So,
Yeah.
It's funny you bring that up because I'm going to now segue into
because I'm an asshole.
Another topic.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're all assholes. I'm an asshole. Just took up 20 minutes of the show. My apologies.
Yeah. Can you imagine that somebody has to be haunted by the four of us? Okay, in the afterlife, it's like that's their penance. And if they're really, really bad, we bring in John.
Oh God.
That's
an evil people are out.
That's when you're begging for the lamotrigine and the Capra double dose.
No,
we're the four horsemen of the obnoxiousness.
The four horsemen of the supernatural. And this is where I want to go with this. You were just talking about the afterlife and ghosts, and I want to talk about Louisa Peck. Louisa Peck lives in New York now, or from Oregon, one or the other. Okay, she's in Oregon now that I think about it. And when she was in her 40s, she had an experience where she was at a nightclub and she got way too drunk and died. She was doing drugs, and she died. No pulse, no nothing. There on the dance floor, basically. What a way to go. But what was fascinating was while she was gone, before the ambulance got there, she was having an experience. And it is the typical, afterlife experience where you are greeted by your ancestors. She said prior to that, she'd never given a flip about her ancestors. But then suddenly they were there. And she's like, oh, this is like the best family reunion ever. Everything was so welcoming and loving and warm. And then she's just experienced this. There's no sense of the passage of time whatsoever. She's there for a long time, as far as she can tell.
Electromagnetic bubble.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Pretty much.
Well remembered.
But then she, good callback. But then she hears a voice saying, not yet. And she wakes up, and there's, the bouncers or the med techs or something, and like, ay, and her heart starts again, and she starts breathing again, and she wakes up, and it hasn't been that long. She was freaked out because to her it had been a long time. This is your typical, quote, near-death experience. And but then this is the neat part. When she came back, it was you really can't call it a sixth sense experience because she actually came back. Spoilers, Bruce Willis is dead. But in this case, she came back with some pretty neat abilities. I know. Sorry, you hadn't seen the movie, have you, Ryan?
Who's M. Night Shyamalan? I live in a cave. Sorry, on the reservation under the pond.
That explains a lot. The whole appearance there.
I'm actually 2 feet tall. Sorry, I try to look.
We never see him above the waist. Never see him above the waist.
I have a tail.
Yeah, but he shed his tail. But when she came back, she was able to, she would know things and be able to predict things like her sister would give birth to a stillborn child. She would meet people and know their names before they introduced themselves. And things like that just kept happening ever since then. And it's funny because, of course, she has a book out, but the whole idea was there she was basically a, devout pragmatist atheist going into that, and came out completely woo woo, and that's her word. I want to tie into this because I'm reading this and I'm like, wait a minute, I know this story, but not from her, and not exactly the same. Because one of the things that when I was a kid, my parents owned a mobile home park. I was Alex Rogan. I was a kid from a trailer park, and
No, you're Trailer Park Boys, which is even better.
yeah. Oh no, I'll take Last Starfighter any day.
Sorry, I didn't know you referenced that. That is one of the greatest '80s movies of all time. I stand corrected.
Yeah, Alex Rogan, just a kid from a trailer park.
I stand corrected.
Yeah. So you are standing. You are only 2 feet tall. Nailed him. Perfect. But I had to mow this lady's lawn, and she only lived there part time. She had like a summer home there, and so she was there, and I got to meet her. And her name was Margaret Dixon, no relation to the Margaret Dixon, but the name seems to carry something. But she was, or was it Jean Dixon? Jean Dixon was the famous psychic in the newspapers, did the horoscopes. No, she was Margaret Dixon. And so I meet her and I go in and she's like, oh, would you like a glass of lemonade? It was really hot. So I'm like, yeah, I finished mowing the lawn. And she's like, oh, come on in. And she says, so what's your name?
Take your shirt off.
Anthony, And she's, yeah. And then she goes, she looks at me funny and she goes, what's your birthday? And I go to open my mouth and I go, and she says, April 10th. And I'm like, that's a 1 in 365 shot. Okay. This is somebody that knew things. And she would do and so we started talking, and she started telling me certain things that she couldn't know. The one that really blew me away was getting my birthday exactly right. No guessing, but as soon as it hit my mind, as soon as I thought the date, she said the date. But then what she told me was that one of her abilities that she developed when she was a kid, and she knew about it, was that it's normal to dream about the people in your world. Okay, you dream about your mother, your father, your da 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 da. She noticed that within 3 days of having a specific kind of dream, she would notice that person. Sorry about the dog. She would notice that person would die. And what really got to her was, this became an ability, and she had to kind of decide whether or not she was going to tell people, oh, by the way, you're going to die.
Yikes.
And then when she was not very old, okay, she was only like her 40s, she had this dream. Okay, and this is where I want you to pull up that picture that I created. Gage, we're waiting on you. She actually dreamt of her husband in that gold image and the gold halo surrounding him. And so this ended up being just the thing. She wakes up in the morning going, oh my God. She knows he's going to die within 3 days. What would you do in that situation? She didn't tell him. But she made sure that everything was wonderful for him for those 3 days. And yes, he did die on the 3rd day.
I would have made him watch the Ring video so he'd have 4 more days. because then you can't die until the seventh day. So
If I was her, I would have made millions off the Final Destination, the movie
Yeah.
series.
yeah.
Cashed
Now,
in.
this reminds me of Dorothy.
That's amazing.
Eady. You guys know Dorothy Eady?
I know the name.
She was a lady like early 1900s that she had a near-death experience and then fallen down some stairs, and then she wakes up and she's convinced she was a Egyptian priestess, and she like learns Egyptian, and she's able to go to one of the pharaoh, I think it was one of the graves of Temple of Seti, and she was able to walk through it in the dark, and when they would describe a mural to her, she'd go right to it in the dark and say, oh, this is where that was, and this is where that was, and they were 100% right. And because she wouldn't be Christian and she wouldn't be Muslim, she was not allowed to be buried in any proper cemetery, so she had to find a Coptic cemetery. She tried to build a tomb for herself in her backyard, and they wouldn't let her because the health department wouldn't let her. So she had to be buried in a Coptic cemetery in a unmarked grave, sadly.
I mean, a Coptic cemetery?
You
mean Coptic?
I don't remember exactly where. It was basically an Egyptian cemetery.
Yeah, well,
allowed it.
The Coptics were early Christians in Egypt.
Yep. Yeah, that's where she was able to get buried in Egypt.
Yep.
Yeah, because she had moved
and that would make sense because the Copts absolutely understood what was going on there, and they lived in both worlds.
Yeah, she wound up calling herself, I think it was like Seti or something, and she was in Seti's temple. And,
thank you. Yes. Yep. Seti.
Yep. And so she was she had talk about an odd life. She didn't die till like 1984. And I remember reading an interview with her, and then and that was just fascinating to me. I think it was on like Believe It or Not or something where they were talking to her, and she'd become an Egyptologist and a folklorist.
Wow.
So she was able to translate things that no one else had been able to translate.
Serious insight. Well, and that reminds me of something that I absolutely hate. I don't want to talk about, but we can if you'd like. It's one of the things that you learn about when you're in this space that will probably resonate with you just because it will kick in way earlier than it should, a fear of death. So I have heard through the grapevine that when you die and you see the light, you do not go to the light, because if you go to it, then what happens is you are reincarnated and you are brought back into this plane. And with near-death experiences, it can trigger the other ones that you've had, especially the ones like, what do we remember the most from our childhood? The most emotionally impactful things. So you tend to go back to the biggest moments. And I don't like it. I don't want reincarnation to be real. I was brought up Roman Catholic. I'm not practicing, but I consider myself very spiritual. But that scares, and pardon my French, the shit out of me, because that's one of the most basic things that I'm going to do. Now, sidebar. I don't know how many of you have experimented with DMT. I wish it for all of you. But when you do it, I can give you a complete near-death experience, meaning you will cross over to the other side if you do enough. You will meet angelic beings. You will meet the machine elves that they're working in one bizarro casino in some ass-end corner of the universe. But you can have all of it. The only thing that now I'm going to dig into, and maybe Mark or maybe you guys know, I've never heard of anyone doing the DMT not having a near-death experience, even though it is a near-death experience, and coming back with the same kind of powers or talents that other people do when they actually die, or
when they legit die.
When they legit die, yes. So I find that fascinating. And anyway, I throw that to this think tank.
That's perfect. No, I will say this is, with the podcast, when we get all the emails from all the ghost stories and all the encounter tales that people send us, a bunch of them come from hospice nurses. And they're like, and every one of them that we've talked to have said, if you're not a believer, work 3 shifts in a hospice and you will become a firm believer, because so many things where the grandfather showed up, the grandmother showed up, they've been long dead. The sister comes to take them away. That's what happened with my mom. She said one of her sisters who had died. She had 7 sisters. She was the youngest, died early. And that's the one who showed up to her. She was the oldest, and that one showed up to take her, and then the next day she was gone. So it's
But did it take her to the next level of consciousness, or did it just? Is it a trap? Is that just an image, like a video image that reloops you back in? That's what I want to know.
that's what I want to know
this
too.
is
I'd like to know
when
you only get one shot at that. Let's
Yes,
figure
you
that
only
out.
get one shot. Yeah.
and you got to remember the instructions when you get there. No, when my dad died when I was, very young. I was 9 years old, and my mom was in the hospital room when he passed. And she turned around after he died. The doctor's like, okay, he's gone. Da 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 da. She turns around and he's standing in the doorway. He's standing right there behind her.
Oof.
And he reaches out to her and says, "Come with me."
Whoa.
And she's like, no, 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 no. So it's like going to the light, except I'm not the one who's dead yet. Okay.
Wow.
And she's like, no, 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 no. I got the kids. I got the, I have a life ahead of me. And so he just gone the instant she says no. He vanished. And so we've got, all kinds of, tales like that from inside my family. And I'm perfectly capable of saying these are stories, okay, and hallucinations, delusions, whatever, okay? Humans do stupid things, but they just stack up. And then when you have your first paranormal experience yourself, and you're like, okay, maybe some of those are real. Sure, a lot of them are going to be black bears. Okay, they're going to be
Sandhill
they're going
cranes.
to sandhill cranes and tailless iguanas, and alligators running on their hind legs. It can happen, but in Ohio, but where does that leave us? For those things that still don't fit. And right now, we've got a whole bunch of natural things going on. And has anybody been paying attention to the meteor situation we
That's
have
why I
going
brought
on
it up
right
for
now?
Ohio. We had 8
No.
Bigfoot sightings, made the big reports that week. Then the meteors hit like right after that, all in the same area. And that's why it's like, wait a minute, something going on. And then we had earthquakes here just last week in North Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had 2
I
the
missed
other
that.
night. I thought it was thunder. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's not a cloud in the sky. Pull it up. No, nothing. But then my seismic alert goes off, says, oh yeah, you had a level 1 over in Dillsboro, and then another one a few hours later on Coe Mountain, which is the mountain just outside my town. So that's always fun.
Yep. Watching. Wow.
But that was. But then the meteor.
Hit
So
the
I thought it was
video.
another
Hit the
meteor
video.
coming down.
Oh, the article. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I guess this is the thing. I mean, we're looking all over the country. You see some of these videos. I thought we had one of these things, and they are just absolutely crazy. One of them changes directions. It comes down and it turns.
Yeah.
That's not how physics works.
Yeah.
Another one has a spiral trail. That's not how meteors come down. Another one is coming along and then boom. Now, we do know, as of yesterday, that, we've known since the end of February that we're actually in a bit of an altercation right now with someone who we found out yesterday has been building missiles that have double the range that they promised they would have. And that's just what we know of.
Yeah.
And a lot of these things actually do not look like meteors. They're getting hit. They're getting taken out. And they are spiraling, turning, whatever's going on. There's a whole lot going on with this stuff here. And I'm not sure which way to go with it, but the videos I have seen, they're pretty intense. You want to talk about reasons that it's probably, not that strange that we don't get good video of Bigfoot. You had a meteor come down, and that was seen from 4 states. That sonic booms, the whole 9 yards, and the only image we have of it is from a security camera at a car dealership.
Yep. We had one go down over Georgia about 6 months ago. We were actually driving, saw it go down. I checked my dash cam. I'm like, oh, we got it on my dash cam. Blur, because it was so far in the distance.
Yeah,
nothing.
It's nothing.
So I was like,
Well, there was one that actually came down south of Macon on, I think it was 3 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago. And from the little bit of footage that I was able to catch on it, I was going to bring that I wasn't able to pull it back up. It was on channel 2, I think it was. And it looked like it had been hit with something. It didn't look like it was just coming down as a...
It was fragmented. That was crazy.
I mean, you're seeing something come down and then explode. And yes, that is not abnormal, because whatever the core is, as it superheats, it could hit an explosive point and explode. I'm going to give it that. But when you're looking at these other ones with a spiral trail,
yes,
and hypersonic, because they're breaking the sound barrier. Hypersonic, they're going sonic booms. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But to tie it into that region too, you're having all of these animals. There's a reason there's an increase in Bigfoot activity, because what do animals do before earthquakes or during events like this? They get the hell out. Where we sit there and try to film it. Why can't I film this, Anthony?
Zoom in. No, this has been, let's go ahead and dedicate this show to John. We miss you, buddy, and we'll see you next week. But we are all now out of here. Thank you for watching the Parageeks.
Wait, I want to end on one thing. I want to end on one thing. This is an experiment that I proposed to us, but we have to go underground to do it. If you are listening, let's prove that you can get real superpowers. Let's go underground. Let's do the real life flatliners, and I'll go if you 3 go too.
Well, I'm a retired paramedic.
That's a mic drop.
Mike,
all right.
Mike, what was that?
Take care, guys.
What was that, Mike? About the retired paramedic?
I'm a retired paramedic, so I'm running the paddles.
All right, you bring us back. Bring us back, baby.
All right.
Thanks, brother. Thanks, everybody.